Uh, you look at like a lot of gotcha protagonists, and they've got a little bit of like interesting art. Their animations are borderline nothing. They very rarely even have spoken lines. Um, I think there's some that are better than that, and I think Rover is actually one of the better ones. It's not amazing. They're not an amazing character, but they've got a little bit of personality to them. They have enough spoken lines that they actually matter. And they've actually gone to pretty good lengths to make their animations quite interesting. So I think female Rover is better than male Rover in terms of design. I think the animations are much better and the voice work is much better. So I'm going to put one tier above. I'm going to start off in the middle though, with a good solid B tier for female Rover and C tier for male Rover. There's not a ton to say because they're the protagonists, so like they're self-insert characters that are the rotating pillar around which the world turns. Um, Now that we're on to characters that actually exist, let's swap back to game here. We'll be talking about this one a little bit later on, so we'll get to that. Um, for now, we are talking about Alto.
Nice pick. You won't regret choosing Alto's servants.
And as you can see, just hearing him, he's obnoxious. Probably the less said, the better about Alto. He's not a very interesting character to play. He's not a very interesting character for the story. He's not a very interesting character in general. I think his visual design is actually not terrible. I think there's like some elements of his visual design are fairly interesting. I like the hair, but like very, very little positive to say about our dear friend Alto. So he's gonna round out our D tier, giving us a B, a C, and a D. Um, Next on the tier maker is Baija.
Why hesitate if you know what you want?
And Baija is actually a bit of an interesting example because, like, I don't think her writing is super great. It's not like terrible, but I don't think she's like the most well-written character. Um, but like her visual design is quite good. Her hair is gorgeous, and obviously for the as one of the basic free characters you get, she's a pretty high bar to set. But and her playstyle is actually pretty fun. The problem is that most of the fun parts of her kit, if you're playing her optimally, you'd never use. Um, that being said, she's been so heavily power crept that like she's not really viable anymore, anyways. But power is not what we're talking about here. But if you're playing her optimally, you never really use the stuff that's interesting about her. So like the design is less relevant in a lot of ways. I think I'm gonna lean towards kind of maybe high C. Like maybe high C is a good place for her. I don't think she's a bad character. I think that like her role in the story has some interesting elements to it. I just don't think they did a great job with her. Next, we're on to some people's favorite character, many people's least favorite character, and there's not a lot in between. Either you love Chisha or you hate her. And honestly, I'm in the latter category. I don't think her visual design is terrible. I don't dislike her as much as Alto, but her personality is annoying. Her Where she fits in the story is kind of inconsistent and awkward a lot of the time. Her playstyle is one of the most obnoxious, like one of the most obnoxious to use. People apparently love it. I'm not people. I'm not people. She's gonna go in D tier. She's gonna go above Alto, but not by much. Um, the next character here is another one of those types of characters that like a lot of people have a lot of fondness for. This one is Dungeon.
Sometimes I get a little carried away in battles. I didn't startle you, did I?
Her playstyle is somewhat fun. I can understand why people like her. I don't really like her design that much. I think there's something about her design that's just kind of weird to me. Um, but I don't think it's awful. So we're gonna kind of slide her into C. I think she's not as good as Baija, but she's not like terrible. I'll have more to say about some of the later characters. These are right now we've been mostly talking about kind of low, like the 4-star characters. These are the characters not many people use, and some of them have important roles, but not really. Like when we get to like Yang Yang, there will be more to say and stuff like that. But so next we have probably the most used 4-star in the game. No, maybe second most used. He's probably the second most used 4-star in the game. And that is Mortefi.
Make this quick. I have
I
experiments.
actually like his design a fair bit. Like I he's not the type of male character that I get like super attracted to. He's no Imbiber Lune or Blade or that stuff or like Zhongli, but he's got an interesting design and I appreciate like the elements of his like in of his nature in his like visual design like in his person like it almost looks like there's like scale or fire or something underneath here and it's kind of a neat style decision they made there. um his playstyle is I appreciate like what they did with his visual style and like controlling him is not awkward. His animations are pretty good overall. So I think Mortefi deserves some decent uh ranking. I think he's not as good as female Rover for sure. Um, so I think maybe low B makes sense. Don't worry, I'm not just rating all the 4-stars badly. We'll get to some other ones soon. Um, Next is Sanhua,
I
and
should try to
actually
smile
here
more.
is an example of one.
Like this? I should try to smile more, you say?
Sanhua's design is really cool. Um, which probably explains why she also has an alternate costume. But Sanhua's design is just really, really interesting. I like the way she's like set up with like the trailing hairband here, and I am a bit of a sucker for tights, so like that tights or stockings, that is a definite win. Um, Her playstyle is also really cool. She has probably the best 4-star animations in the game, I think. Yeah, her alt outfit is great. Um, I think she has I think I would give her the best 4-star animations in the game. Um, with like the ice shards and like the way everything kind of like is very snappy and very like there's a very good impact to her abilities. So she is definitely going to be higher than what we've got here. Also, in terms of writing, I actually really liked the interactions between Sanhua, Rover, and Jinsi, who we'll get to later. I thought Sanhua fits this world really well and has a good place in the story. So I think Sanhua is going to kind of sit low 8 here. What's kind of funny is that this tier list, so far, could also feasibly have been a power tier list for the early game if we put Rover like up here instead of splitting it up. Like this is also lining pretty closely with their power levels at launch. Like Sanhua was seen as top tier and Mortefi is good. Donjin probably would have been up here at launch, but anyways, let us move on to Taucha.
Perfect weather for a walk today.
Taucha is their attempt at bad breast physics. That's just what she is. She is their attempt at bad breast physics. That being said, I do actually like her visual design aside from that. Um, like, I find this game's physics to be very weird. I think Touch's place in the story is largely non-existent. She's had a couple of cutscenes she's been involved in, but like hasn't had anything important to do really, and hasn't really had a lot of writing. So it's hard to really judge her on that. I think I like the way that like the dress flares out. I kind of think the little like side sleeves are cute, and I think the pink hair with the two like tassels is cute. So like she gets moderate marks. Yeah, it was so weird. It was so weird. I think Taucha gets moderate marks. I don't think she gets good marks. I think I'm pretty content putting her kind of in the high C category. Maybe right below Baija, because I think Baija is still better than her in almost every way. Young Young, though, who is our next rank, Young Young I like a lot. I am so sad that Young Young's numbers suck.
Together.
Yeah, no, they never did anything with that, and it was strange.
Looks like
I
fun.
am so sad that Yang Yang sucks. If Yang Yang was powerful, I would like if she was even moderately useful, I would find a way to put her in my party. I adore this character's design. Like she has one of my favorite early designs in this game. I love like the feathers in her hair look. Obviously, I'm a bird. But even beyond that, like the blue color is really striking. I think the hat is adorable. And I like the like split back coat that she's got going on. Yang Yang is like gorgeous, and I also Kuro has a really bad habit of shipping every single character we meet with Rover, and most of them are pretty badly written. But I think Yang Yang is one of my exceptions to that rule. Yang Yang's relationship with Rover is actually like it's very cute. It's really adorable them. Yeah, like Yang Yang and Carlotta I would buy, and obviously Shorekeeper is basically a almost an artificial creation we built solely to serve us. So like her relationship fits. We'll get to those characters later. But like Yang Yang's relationship with Rover feels very genuine, and they did a really good job of just fitting her in the story. She is, if you've played any of the Hoyo games, like she's like our March 7th or our Amber. She's like that first person you met that like your character has a very strong connection to. But like in this case, it's just much more well written. I think of all of the characters, Yang Yang is the one whose relationship with Rover feels the most logical. Um, but yeah, Kuro has a tendency of shipping every character with Rover. Every character has to have a romantic relationship. It's really annoying. But back to Yang Yang. But like also, her animations and her kit are really fun to use. It's really just the ultimate pity how bad she is. Like her numbers are so low, and like her effects are so under designed, underwhelming that like you just can't fit her into teams anymore. But if you could, I would. And like I am going to put her very high. In fact, I am thinking honestly, I kind of think I might put her like I'm wavering between top of A and bottom of S. We'll see how this shapes out. I might shift her down to top of A depending on who ends up in the S tier. But her design is fantastic. And she's very well written, and her kit is fun to use, and like just everything about her is she is, ex- except for her numbers, everything about her is done well. Like she is a very good character. Next on our list is Yuanwu,
Anything I can help you with?
and I actually really like his visual design. Like I think he's a little bit chaotic looking, but like in a way that makes it look intentional. And like he's got like that kind of like graying blue hair that's kind of cute or distinguished depending on how you want to look at it. Like I like his visual design. I think his kit is an absolute mess. Fair enough. I kind of like it. I think he looks like a bit of an intentional mess. My wife apparently thinks he looks like an unintentional mess. That's fair. The thing for me is like
Computer.
this sleeve feels like it fits this jacket, and this waistcoat feels like it fits with the hat. So like it kind of feels like he's doing like a couple different outfits at once, but I can understand like the difference in opinion on that one. I won't. Sorry, had to cough. Um, Not a big criticism on that. When it comes to Yuanwu, though, he has no character. He has no story. He is in like one uh he has like one dialogue scene, and it's an optional scene in the when you're unlocking your when you're unlocking the one of the game's challenge modes. His sole purpose is to exist in that challenge mode, and they have not moved him beyond that. Also, his playstyle isn't very interesting. He's like a less interesting version of Mortefi in some ways. So while I don't mind his visual design, I think the rest of his design is kind of awful. So I think I'm going to drop him. I think I'll put him bottom of C because I don't dislike him as much as I do Chisha or Alto, but yes. Next we come to because every game has to have one. Next we're coming to
I see my
Wuthering
way clear.
Waves Sephiroth clone, or in this case, a cross between Sephiroth and Raiden from Metal Gear.
I see my way clear.
Calcium, as I call him, is a chaotic mess, and I don't even think he looks cool. He's like all the worst parts of Sephiroth without the parts of Sephiroth that make Sephiroth look kind of awesome. And his playstyle is like the most convoluted playstyle in the entire game. And fortunately, I have not been unlucky enough to get him yet. He is actually the last standard banner character I do not have. Um, but I do not like his design at all. Give me 1 second here, actually. Oh, I guess the other thing I should mention is he literally has not been in the story yet, so I actually know nothing about him as a character. I cannot judge his character in any way, shape, or form because he has not shown up. He hasn't even been like Yuanwu, where he has a scene that he's there. I have not seen him in the story once. I do not know anything about him, so he's still slotting down into the D tier. Not much to say. He's dollar store Sephiroth, but clearly whoever produced the knockoff did not do a good job. Next, however, we've got Encore.
For another adventure?
And Encore is fucking adorable. Her design is just so cute. She's like over the top cute, but like, yeah, Encore's amazing. She's like all about like living in a fairy tale where she's like the heroine and like her little like plushes come to life to attack for her, but she's got like an adorable personality and like Encore's adorable. I like Encore a lot. Encore's a sweetie. And her playstyle is actually kind of fun. I think there's a couple of like oddities to her writing, and I don't think her voice actress did like the best job. I don't think it's like bad, but I don't think it's like the best job. But like she's a great character. I'm gonna slot her in low A. I'm happy with like she belongs pretty highly. Um, I like Encore a lot. There's not a ton to say because like we all know that archetype. It's like Annie from League of Legends or um God, my brain just went to mush. But like there's so many of those characters where it's like the little girl with like a dark past who manifests her power through stuffed animals like it's a common archetype and she does a pretty good job. Like she does a really good job of it overall. And her playstyle is fun, so she gets high marks. Next, we're going to move on to my favorite character on the standard banner, who is
I'll do
Jianshin.
my best.
I love her design. I don't think I love it quite as much as I love Yang Yang's design, but I love her visual design. I think she looks really
I'll do
cool.
my best.
Like I like her hair and I think the little like flower or feather sticking up, which I guess is supposed to be part of her hair, but it looks like a little like ribbon, is great. I love the pattern along her shirt here and like along down her pants and into her leg or her shorts down along her legs as well. Like I just think there's so much that's really cool about her design. And like her animations are fantastic. She's fun to play as. The only thing that's bad about her, much like Yang Yang, is that her numbers kind of scut. Her numbers are kind of shit. Like, she's not really usable. But her animations are so good. When I first saw this game, like when they first showed off her when I first saw her as part of the standard banner, I was like, this is the character I want to get on the standard banner. I don't care how strong she is, I'm going to use her. Unfortunately, power creep has made that not really feasible, but I'm almost at C6 for her, so I might even be able to use her again. But yeah, she's great. The only thing I would say, wrong button. The only thing I would
These
say is that
days,
like I
I
don't think
am
her
in need.
writing was that great. Like I think she's not a bad character, but I don't think they did the visual design and the style of her justice because she doesn't like give me the vibes of the character that the appearance like her appearance and her voice line up, but her personality doesn't fit with those two, if that makes sense. So like that's the one kind of knock I would give her over like Yang Yang. Come on, Tiermaker, you can work. I know you can. But I am gonna put her at the top of A tier. She is my favorite standard banner 5-star. Everything about her except that one little catch of her writing is just fantastic. So next, I don't really know what to say about Ling Yang. He's not great. There's something about his design that makes me feel like I should be offended on behalf of someone, but I'm not really sure who. And like it's just really weird. I don't know. I don't like his visual design at all. His animations are kind of awkward. His kit doesn't really match with like what he's supposed to be. He doesn't really have like tools that make him feel like what he's supposed to be. And his story was kind of not great also. He's just the disappointment. He's the disappointment. Let's just leave it at that. He's gonna go down here with Calcium. I don't hate him quite as much as I hate Calcium, but he's the disappointment. Next, we're going to move to the most used non-limited character in the game. We are moving to Verena.
Hopefully, we'll make new findings.
And she, much like Encore, is adorable. Yep, budget Nihita.
Hopefully, we'll make new findings.
Thank you for the follow. Follows are anonymous here, but I do appreciate them. Um, Dollar Store Nahida or Budget Nahida is adorable as well. I like her design. I think like the flower aesthetic is really well realized in her, like with the little like tail that's a vine and like the flowers all over her. And I think like her animations are cute. They did a good job of like making her into an actual kid. She doesn't have that. Both her and Encore actually, which is rare. Like it's very rare that games do a good job of making kids feel like kids. And I think both her and Encore feel like they are children. Like they have knowledge beyond their years due to certain factors of their story, but like they feel like kids. Like Encore's fantasies, her dreams and stuff, um, fit in with the type of character she's supposed to be, and Verina's like childlike wonder at the world and at like nature is just adorable and lovely and fits really well with who she's supposed to be as well and where she's supposed to sit. So like I really appreciate that aspect of it, and I think the voice actors on both counts did a good job sounding like kids. I don't know if they are kids, I haven't looked them up, but they did a good job of sounding like it. So I think they get good marks for both of these. And I think Farina's animations and kit are fun to use. Like she's a healer, so like there's only so fun a healer in a gacha game can be, because the goal is to get them off the screen as fast as possible so that you can get back to your the character you want to actually control. And I think like what time you spend on Verena is fun. So I think Verena is another character that gets very good marks. I think I'm going to slot her kind of just a little bit, maybe right below Sanhua. Kind of right next to, actually right next to Encore. I think that works perfectly. Right next to Encore is a good place for a Verena. Now we're getting into the limited characters. So our first limited character on the list is Gion.
The battlefield is dynamic.
And
Do not
Gion is
be
hot.
afraid.
I'm... Oh, ads are running actually. Let's pause for a second. Ads are running. All right, had a few minutes to rest my voice somewhat. Let's get back to Gion. As I was saying, Gion is hot. He's very much the type of male character that I am attracted to. I would say I mostly lean towards femme appearances, but like this is the type of male character that I am attracted to. I like his design in general. I love his hair. And his playstyle is actually really fun. I think the one thing I didn't like is there's some aspects of his yeah. There's some aspects of his writing that didn't work for me super well. Um he just there's some really I don't want to go into too deep like spoiler territory in case anybody hasn't played it, but in the story that we got of him, there's some parts of his story that just felt incongruent with other parts of his story. And I think that's like the biggest thing. But like, yeah, Gion's hot. So let's get back to the playlist here. Gion is actually going to sit pretty high for me. His playstyle is really fun. He's another one of those characters where like the biggest thing I have bad to say is like his power level. I don't think he's going to fit in the S tier because I don't think I like his design that much. But I think kind of sitting him next to like the A tier characters that I like makes a lot of sense. Wow, my computer on this tier maker is lagging like mad. Is it just the... Maybe I just have too many Chrome windows. Let's close Words, because Words is not doing anything for me. Okay, it's just the tier maker? Huh. Fair enough. Anyways, so yeah, so I think putting Gion kind of next to Sanhua, maybe slightly below Sanhua makes sense to me. I think it's the ads, honestly. Because it's every time the ads change, the tier maker, like, stutters really badly. Anyways, now we're on to Yinlin, one of the characters I do not have.
The impatient no rush. The impatient ones will fall right into our lap.
And Yinlin's design is really good. Her visuals are, like, she's not, like, perfectly my style, but she's on the cusp of my style. I love her hair. The long ponytail is just gorgeous. And I like the details on the front of her flap. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of her playstyle, and I think her combat animations are decent, but don't really fit for me perfectly. But I think they're good. Like, yeah, I guess that's probably what it's supposed to be. It just doesn't. Yeah, it on the front of her dress. Yeah, that there we go. That's the part that's confusing me. It's for anybody who watches the VOD of this or is not paying attention to chat. Uh, it's a stylized Cheongsam that she outgrew 10 years ago, but is still wearing. There we go. That's exactly what's confusing me. Um, but yeah, overall, like I like her design a fair bit. She's definitely not like my top tier for designs, but it's quite good. Her voice work is really good. Her writing, I don't like. Similar to what I was saying about Gion's writing, there was a big incongruity between how she was marketed to us and how we saw her like in the first time we met her and what they did with her everything we've seen since. Like they're at the start, they kind of seemed to be living up to the marketing they'd given us because they marketed her as being like you're absolutely right, Eagle. You'll find that that's largely the case for a lot of Wuwa characters. I try, like, outside of the really extreme examples, weird boob physics are just something you have to get used to in Wuwa. I don't like it. I'm not. As I said, outside of the really bad examples, I'm just gonna ignore it for the most part. There's one or two characters where I'm like, okay, fine, this character's boobs look normal, but 90% of them look awful, and and like of the 90% that don't, of the 10% that don't look awful, 5% of that 10% actually look worse than awful. It's those 5% that look worse than awful I'm going to comment on. But yeah, you are absolutely right. The boobs are scary. Um, but yeah, so like when they first revealed her, they had kind of showed her off as being this like brilliant mastermind, like manipulating everything and like controlling everything behind the scenes and like kind of a puppet master character, which fits into her playstyle and her animations because like her animations involve her like summoning a mechanical puppet that does like lightning damage. Um, but then we got her story and she's like super generic, like doesn't seem like she's got it all going on, and like it's just like so out of line with like the marketing and what we saw her with her in like the first 5 minutes we saw her, and what happened after that is just so weird. So yeah, so Yinlin, probably some people are going to dislike this particular answer, but Yinlin is going in, if the ads ever finish loading, Yinlin is going to go in. I'm glad you guys are seeing this because this is messed up. I'm gonna put her kind of high C. No, maybe low B. I'll put her low B. I don't think she's worse than Mortefi. So let's put her in the B tier. I think B is fine, yeah. There's parts of her that are really good, but like there's just some stuff that just like is so not great. Jinxie is our next one, and here we have an example of a character that
May I
I
pray for anything
adore.
specific for you? May I pray for
I
anything
love
specific
Jinxie's
for you?
design.
That
The
we
one
can
thing I
do?
think is a little bit overemphasized, like there is a lore reason for it, but her like overly bushy white eyebrows are distracting. Everything else about her design I love. Like her dress is gorgeous. Her alternate outfit is fantastic. Um I love her hairstyle. I love her animations. She has probably like if I were to do like an animations only tier list and just judge their like movement and combat animations, she would be probably top 3, maybe top 5. Jinxie's animations are incredible. Like they were when she came out, she was a step above everything else that they had done in terms of animations. It felt like it was like Imbibe Lene and Fu Xuan all over again because like it was like okay, all there's these good animations and then there's Jinxie's animations, and it was like complete step different. Um, Let me just quickly go and show off her outfit because I have her outfit. So Jinxie has a premium outfit, and because she was like just about my favorite, she was basically my favorite character when it came out. I had to have it, and it is just gorgeous. And like it changes all the animations. Like the animations have like fireworks now on them.
Take her to life.
Like so good. I had to show this off because I just love it. Um, yeah, yeah. Her animations are like incredible.
I remain the anchor.
Yeah, Jinxie is one of my favorites in terms of animation. Her base still has a dragon, but it's a more standard dragon. It's like it's like gold and clear rather than like the fireworks look to it. But it's still gorgeous, and yeah, Jinxie is incredible. Her design is fantastic. Um, and honestly, I think there was a small bit in her character story where the writing got a little weird, but like 90% of her writing has been really good too. Yeah, white and gold and ghostly by default. Yep, that's a good description. Um, so like Jinxie is going in my S tier. Jinxie is going above Yang Yang. If the tier maker will let me move them, I will put. There we go. Chong Li. Oh, I forgot to bring the list up. I put her up there in S tier. Chong Li is next, and Chong Li is another character that I really like the design of. She is another very, very good design. And this is what Chong Li looks like by default. And I think she's actually really gorgeous. Like I think her overall design is really good. I will say one thing. They gave her a swimsuit summer outfit, and it looks worse than her default. It's like basically the same as her default, but like worse. It's like they got rid of all the character from it, but they kept the same outfit. So do not get her summer outfit. It is not worth it. There is nothing about it to like. I guess except that it's slightly more skimpy, but that's on its own is not inherently a good thing. It's a total waste of money. Carlotta's too. Carlotta's like if you're wanting to buy a skin, buy Jinxie's. Jinxie's skin is fantastic. Sanhua's skin is good. Carlotta's and Chong-Li's skins are terrible. And when we get to Carlotta, and I talk about Carlotta, you will appreciate just how big of a deal it is for me to say that something about Carlotta is terrible. I do not know. I think it's supposed to be a garter, honestly. But yeah, that's a little weird. It doesn't really distract me or bother me, but like there's so much about Chong-Li's design that I love. I love the like dual color hair, the like pink, the pinky orange and the white just looks really good together. I think my wife is right. It's a fetish of the devs. They want every character. Maybe it's a Chinese thing actually, because Star Rail's devs have the same. Like a lot of Star Rail's characters have it too, don't they? I feel like there's a lot of characters in Star Rail that also have that. So maybe it's a Chinese thing. I don't want to overgeneralize, but maybe that's like a cultural thing. Yes, I appreciate that. Like, if you look in closely, I can't get too close. Oh yeah, I can. They actually drew it around so that it looks like it's like digging into her leg a little bit. So like she's actually wearing a tight leather strap there. That's really cool. That I like. Um, it does look uncomfortable, but like the fact that they designed it to actually look like she's wearing it as opposed to just being like a tattoo, to looking like a tattoo, I think is really really nice touch for the design. But honestly, everything about her outfit looks uncomfortable. I don't think any part of her outfit is comfortable. Um, and I don't think very many characters in Wuthering Waves are comfortable. I think most characters in Wuthering Waves draw their power from the frustration at having to wear such uncomfortable outfits. So, but back to the design here. There's so much about her design that I love. Like I love the flames on her hand. I love the designs on her like clothes. And there's a really neat touch to her design that uh when she based off of like how far in her combo she is. Oh, looks like they're cobbled together from old clothes from the Lost and Found. You're not wrong. There's a lot of outfits that look that way. But based off of how far she is in her combo, parts of her outfit and even parts of like her hairband and stuff like that will burn away. She will actually show visual differences because like her aesthetic is fire. She is a fire character and like her power is that like she grows in flame and like she's her aesthetic is very Phoenix, so she's like from the ashes type look. But as she gets more deeper in her combo, she has less and less clothes on, and it's in a way that actually looks pretty fucking cool. I don't think I can show it off right now. Oh, I can. So this is what she looks like normally. This is her alt.
Who's the caged bird now?
And this is what she looks like in her full form. So she's got like a veil over her eyes. She's got like fire on her hair, and she's got like a bunch of her clothes are gone, have burned away, and like her skirt, her like dress is on fire. Yeah, this is the final stage of her combo. And then here is her animation for her other special attack. And now she's back to normal. But yeah, she is another one of the ones that I put pretty top tier. But in a similar vein to what we were saying about Yinlin, I don't think her writing really lives up to like the what she was sold on. Like they did a bit of it, a pretty good job of it in the early parts of her story, but as we got deeper, they came more and more obsessed with the uh shipping with the protagonist and less interested in like her living up to like the same as Yinlin, like the master strategist that she's supposed to be. So I think she loses a little bit of marks for the writing on that stuff. But like in terms of visuals, she is right up top. She's like probably one of my top fives in terms of visuals, like with Jinsey. That would actually make sense. It's very difficult to write a smart character. And Star Rail's devs have the same problem because like I'll hate them. Doesn't come across as smart, he comes across as an asshole. So it could be a case of like just the failures to write smart characters on games. But yeah. Yes, her theme is all bird, which is she came out in the same patch as Jinsey. And Jinsey was like the character I'd been waiting for. But Chongli had the bird aesthetic, and I was like, damn it, I need the bird aesthetic. I need the bird character. I'm not getting the bird character. I don't care, I'm getting the bird character. So the Phoenix aesthetic is really good with her. Okay. Next, we have a character that I think I am going to be higher on than most people. Zheja. I love Zheja. I love her design. I love everything about her visuals, pretty much. I like the kind of shy, awkward look she's got. They did a really good job of like making her shy and kind of making her awkward, which I love the painter's theme to her. I think she has like the prettiest dress in the game. Like this is just gorgeous. Um, Similar to Yin Lin, I feel like they could have used making her clothes a little bit longer. Like she should be wearing an outfit that fits her, not an outfit that seems like she outgrew it. As I was saying that, my wife put the same thing in chat. But yeah, that's kind of the one critique I can say of her outfit. Like, she should be wearing a bigger size than this. It should be going down like probably to about here, and it should kind of stretch out to like past her hips or past her thighs, pardon, like that a little bit. But like the back of this, her back profile is probably my favorite look, like back profile of a character in the game. She is wearing full stockings, that's fair. But like I think, but like from a back profile, I think she has like my favorite back profile in the game. Everything about this is just gorgeous. I love the stockings, I love the dress, I love the hair. Her like black into pink hair is just so cute. Exactly, the back profile is probably the most important part. Um, and her animations are every bit as pretty as her character is. She is similar to. I can't show off every character's animations. I don't have every character built, but this is for anybody who's played FF14. When I say I hate the Pictomancer, this is why. Because this is how a paint character should look. See how even though it's very clearly ink themed and very clearly like paint themed, see how clearly it fits in with the environment? How good of a job they did in like making things look like they belong in this world, despite being ink.
Artem Vale.
This is what I'm talking about when I say you can do a paint character without being anachronistic. She fits so well, her animations are so pretty. So yeah, this is an. I just wanted to rant about that for a second. I hate Pictomancers. But Zheja is one of my favorite characters. I She has really cute idle animations as well. Like she sits on her brush and like falls asleep and then wakes up and stuff. It's just great. As far as her writing goes, she's another one of the characters where I think I love when she drops the ink on her own leg. Yeah, that's adorable too. Um, I think her story was really well written. They did a fantastic job, in my opinion, of making her come into her own. Because like she is kind of the depressed artist. She has felt like she doesn't deserve any of the success she had, and she's dealing with a crisis of confidence when you meet her, and like you got kind of guide her through it. I think there were some oddities in how they chose to like do that, but I think they did a good job of doing that. I also think that she is one of the characters who, while I would say Yang, Carlotta, and Shorekeeper are the three that make the most sense, I think if I were to do a tier of like which uh, rover ships make the most sense in the writing, I think Jeju would be like a step behind them. I think the way they handled her kind of infatuation with Rover makes more sense than like 90% of the other characters. Yeah, Rover is like she looks up to Rover. Rover was kind to her when she thought she was worthless. Rover guided her through her her great crisis. Like they did a good job of giving a logical reason for why she would have a bit of a infatuation or a hero worship relationship with Rover, and thus it makes a bit more sense for her. I do still wish that they would do it less often. I'm not a fan of the obsession with every character has to be in a canon relationship with Rover. But of them, like if I were, I think Jeju would be like my fourth character after Yang, Carlotta, and Shorekeeper for who I would be like okay with it being if they chose that as like the canon ship. Um, so Jeja is obviously going up in my S tier. Not quite as high as Jinsei, but up there. I love Jeja. I think almost everything about her is fantastic. I think she was just written spectacularly well for the most part. And I think just everything about her design is just top tier. So let's bring the tier list back up. I forgot to show you guys. I put her up here in the S tier. Next, we're going to Xiangling Yao Yao. Zhang Liao.
The experiment begins.
I think his design
The
is
experiment
interesting.
begins.
I think he is a case where like most of what they did with him does not live up to the visual design because I do think his visual design has a lot of merit. He's got like that, I don't remember the name because I've never seen the show, but like the protagonist of Full Metal Alchemist kind of vibe going on where like high-techish looking with like the metal arm and stuff like there's definitely some good here. His animations aren't great in my opinion. They're not terrible, but they're not great. And his writing was kind of he came out in the same patch as Jeja, and let's just put it this way. Jeja's writing was great. His writing, not so much. He was definitely the low point of that patch, but he was a free character given away. Like, he's still technically a gacha character, but they gave a copy of him away for free. So, like, yeah, the I liked part of his part in the festival. I thought the end of his section, like when you, I thought parts of it were good, but like near the end, it kind of started to unravel a bit for me, and didn't really feel right for everything else. But it wasn't the worst. It wasn't like he's not like the worst character. Like, he's not like the worst written character, but like you can clearly tell that they put less effort into him than they did into some of the other characters, like you know, Carlotta or Cardathia or even like Camellia, Frolova, Jinsey. But so yeah, so I don't think he's a bad character. I don't think he's a great character. I'm gonna put him kind of next to Yinlin, I think. There's he is Whereas Yinlin has high highs, but some parts that I just really don't like. Shangli Yao is just kind of mediocre across the board. There's nothing terrible about him. His visual design is pretty good, but like nothing about him stands out as being great. So him being kind of like dead center mediocre, I think makes a lot of sense. Next, we're moving on to Shorekeeper, the most used character in the game.
Here to serve your will. Understood.
And honestly, one of the
To serve
best
your will.
characters in the game, like from every way. She's even got the power down. Shorekeeper is gorgeous. Her story is really well written. Her animations are so fucking cool that it's almost a pity she's a healer, because you don't get to really use like a lot of the animations much. She's got like mobility utility. Shorekeeper is a top-notch character. Um, and she is also, as I mentioned earlier, like one of the characters where the obsession with Rover makes perfect sense. I don't want to go too much into her story, but like she's not she's an artificial entity, and she was effectively programmed by Rover to serve Rover. So like kind of makes sense. Kind of makes sense. Now, Rover programming the character or the entity that's supposed to serve her to have this particular appearance does cast some aspersions on Rover. Not that it's bad taste, just did you have to give her so little clothing? But she is gorgeous, and I do dearly love her design in a lot of ways. I think it's hard to argue with putting her up near the top. I think putting her up in the S tier is kind of uh, a given. We're back to a couple of 4 stars here. I'm going to do both of the 4 stars in a row, and I'm just going to talk about them both quickly because there's not a ton to say. Um, so first is Yoo-Hoo.
Gotcha, didn't I?
You probably already hate her from that, just hearing that and seeing her, and you would be right to do so. Her writing is obnoxious, her visual design is stupid, her voice acting is terrible, and her kid is kind of dumb. I think I've summed everything up.
Eyes on the horizon.
Lumi, I'm less. I have less negative to say. Lumi, I think, has some stuff going for her. I don't think her visual design is great, but I think her combat animations are fun and kind of cute. And I think her writing wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. Her writing was mediocre, but it wasn't awful. And some of these characters have awful writing, so. But as you probably heard when I switched to her,
Eyes on the horizon.
her accent is terrible. I don't even know what accent they're trying to do. Her accent is the second worst accent in the game. Whatever direction the voice actor got for this character was bad. And they did not deliver a believable accent that anybody would want to listen to. I'm sorry. I haven't been saying a lot about the voice work because most characters' voice work is quite good in this game. There's a lot of really solid voice work in this game. We'll get to an example of really, really good voice work soon, but most of the voice work is pretty good, so there's not a lot to say. But Lumi and one other character we'll get to a little bit later on, their voices are just terrible. Um, Yeah, her tail's kind of cute and it fits into her kit fairly well. Like there's a fair bit of stuff about her that's like interesting. So I don't give her like complete negatives. So let's just slot Yoo-hoo down at the bottom and Lumi, I think I'm going to put just below Baija. There's enough about Lumi that I like that I can't put her in D tier, but there's not enough about her I like that I'm comfortable putting her like above Baija or in the same tier as like Mortefi and Yinlin. So yeah, that's where that sits. Yoo-hoo is probably my least favorite character in the game. I hate her. There's nothing good about that design. So let's just move on. Here we have a character that I am very conflicted on.
Anything I can help you
Not
with?
Yuanwu. Here we come to Camellia.
Would you like a fun game between the two of us? Would you like
Camellia
a fun
is really
game
cute.
between the two of
Like, there's a
us?
lot of elements of her outfit that I think are really pretty. I love, like, the flower aesthetic on her one leg with the other leg in tights. It gives kind of like, um, a trickster or a prankster look. Like, it gives kind of almost like a Harley Quinn style vibe where it's like she's intentionally incongruous, but in a way that's pretty. I like her hair. I think the vines on her hair are cute. Um, but I don't like a lot about her writing, and I really, really hate, like, genuinely dislike the way they animated her. Her combat animations are so ridiculously over sexualized, and her idol animations also, that it's just it makes my skin crawl. Like, she's that over sexualized. And like, I love the idea of her combat animations. She has like she's like spinning from a vine. She's like spinning like from a vine in the air, throwing like with like a vine whips going around her that are like spin to win of it is really cool. But like the level of sexualization they put on this character, it just defies logic. And it's creepy. It's really creepy. And like I really like the red like butterfly flower on her neck, on her nape part in here. Like that's really cute. And like her hair is really pretty and like the black flower is good and there's a lot about her that I like, but like those animations, they just go way too far. And I can't get past that on a very personal level. Like I struggle to get past that. That's why I didn't pull her despite her being one of the strongest characters in the game. Um well, she's not as much anymore, but she's been power crept a bit. But like at the time and for a while after, she was like almost a must-have, and I just couldn't. Um, I think I'm gonna put her kind of in high B because again, there's so much about her I like that I have to give credit for that. But at the same time, the over sexualization is so dramatic that it's just it like if her animations and her design and her writing was a little bit less sexualized, she would probably be high A or low S. Like there's a lot of really good in there, but that's just so prominent and so pronounced that I can't get past it. I just can't. And like this is coming from me, and I'm not a character that's normally bothered by like normal levels of sexualization in games. Like I am perfectly fine with a certain degree of sexualization in games. I don't mind fan service. But let's move on.
I alone will decide whether it's for show or for battle.
Carlotta.
I alone will decide whether it's for show or
Honestly,
for
this is
battle.
my favorite appearance in the entire game. She is the best looking character in the game. I love her dress. I love her boots and her like pink frilly stockings just barely poking out from underneath them. I love the like pink coat. I love her hair. Um Do I have her skill built up right now? I don't think I do, but if I do, I can. There's similar to Chong-Li. Okay, I don't. Is there something I can attack? Here, let's just. I'm just gonna go in here for a sec.
Quickly and swiftly.
So when she is full, when her bar is full, her hair glows, and she gets all these like after images on all of her movements. Whoop, did not mean to go into the character screen. And like she has
You will yield.
and here's her
Is
alt,
mine.
like her animations. And then giant hit of doom.
In the name of the Montellis.
But like her hair shimmers and glows, and like she gets like this crystalline look to all of her movements and stuff. Similar to Jinsei before her,
While the moon cycles,
Carlotta represented an
I
improved,
alone will
like a
decide
step
the outcome
up
of
in
this
animations
battle.
that went well beyond what any of the previous characters had had. Like her animations are so clean, so crisp. There's so much detail in them. Just watching them, it's hard to see a lot of the little details. Like you almost have to freeze frame to catch some of the little details. And her writing is just really good as well. Like she is my favorite character, and we're gonna clearly put her where she belongs, at the top of S tier. She is my favorite character in the game. She likely always will be. She is one of my favorite characters in almost in like she's probably my favorite character in any gacha I've played. And she's a good enough character that like she stands even next to like characters in games that aren't gotchas, because a lot of characters in gotchas aren't as like gotcha games tend to have weaker character writing. I would say Wuthering Waves doesn't always fall prey to that, and Genshin and Star Rail also don't always fall prey to that, but even then it's still. But yeah, her voice work is really good. Like just everything about this character is absolute top tier. Now on to Rochia. Rochia is adorable as well. I love her design, similar to the other most of the other child characters. I think they did a really good job. Like she's a part of a carnival, and they did a really good job of integrating the theatrical element into her design. Every part of her design is like overblown and like intentionally designed to catch the eye. Her multicolored hair is really pretty. Like the mask on her hair, the mask hair tie here is really cute. The like floofy skirt and the floofy sleeves, like the coat tails and everything. Like she fills her part as part of as part of like a carnival or a circus troupe really well. Um, Her animations are also similarly very good. She has like a really interesting kind of shadow aesthetic to her animations that kind of plays into the fact that she's supposed to be a bit of a tragic character. Um, the one thing I would say, or there's two things I would say. One, even though I would agree with you that her combat is satisfying to use, but I feel like her combat is very difficult to use. Like she is so susceptible to like interruptions, and it's so easy to get just to lose out on your entire ability to do stuff with her that I have to knock a little bit on that because like there's no recovery. If you get the slightest bit interrupted, her entire flow is gone. So you really need her to like do everything perfect from. I wonder if does she have a no interruption only to when casting basic attack? No. I was curious if she had a no interruption wave band. Um, but like so much of her kit is weird is like weirdly committal. Um, but she is very satisfying to use. The other thing I would say is I think she is a child character who does have a bit of what we were talking about earlier, where child characters don't feel like they're age appropriate. She's better than a lot, but she's not as good as like Encore or Verena in terms of feeling like a child. Like there's a bit of the too old going on there that doesn't quite feel right to me. So like I don't think her writing is bad, but I do think they didn't do as good of a job of making her feel like a child as some of the other characters that are in that situation. Better than Yoo-Hoo though. Yoo-Hoo's just obnoxious, but that's a low bar. Um, but yeah, so I think for that I'm gonna knock her a little bit in terms of how much I like her design. I think I'll put her maybe right below Jianshin because I do like her a lot and I think she has very good design. That's a fair point too. The fact that that like every child character has so many similarities is not doing great things for them. Yeah. Okay. Next character. As my hopefully my voice can hold out for the rest of this. I think it can. On to Phoebe.
Today will be a fine day.
Phoebe is a character that I wish I had a use for. It's weird because like she is a type of character, she is an archetype of character that I normally hate. She's like religious, she's um very like pure, very pristine, but not in a way that makes her seem like I don't know how to describe it, but like she's like that very like she is the archetypical nun in a lot of ways. Although you wouldn't know it looking at the lower half of her outfit there. Um,
Today will be
but
a fine day.
they did a good job of like making her feel like she has like more to her than just that. And her animations are actually really satisfying. And she gives me card captor vibes, which very much, nostalgia is playing a factor in that. Um, so I do like her a fair bit. I do think she's definitely not like one of their like top echelon of characters. I would not put her even as high as like Rochia. Um, but I wish I had more of a use for her. I wish I had a reason to want her because I actually do quite like a lot of what they did with her design. The way she plays with light in her kit is really really cool, and I think some of the writing where they've had her have to confront some of the truths of her religion in a way that actually felt kind of believable, I thought was quite good. I'm hoping they do more with that at the end of the Renacida story because I think there's still there's like one more chapter left in her story that's not yet told, and I hope they tell it and don't just forget about it because I think that they could like make her into a really really top tier character if they just do that one more step. Um, but like overall, I think she's cute. She fits the role of the nun well, and like she is clearly intended to be like pretty pristine. The our character that's supposed to represent the church that is central to the story, even if not on our side. She's on our side though, but I think I'll put her like bottom of, or maybe top of B. I think I'll put her top of B. I do like her quite a bit, but I don't think she's like top echelons. Brant,
So
I
which
like
phase
Brant's
of your
visual
life
appearance a
got
fair
you
bit.
first?
I think Brant is like one of their more interesting visual
Well,
characters,
whatever it is.
and similar to Rochia
Which
because he's part of
phase
the
of your
same
life
group.
got us next?
Um, I think like they really did a good job of like playing up the kind of
Well, whatever it is. I'll
circus
pay my way
aesthetic in
to
him,
first.
like the performer's aesthetic. He really does a good job of like looking the part of like the bombastic out there uh performer that he's supposed to be. But I do think that there's parts of his writing and parts of his voice acting that just didn't feel right to me for his character. Um, and I think that's kind of where my qualms with him lie in aspects of like the way he is delivered in terms of the actual story to us. There's some parts where I have to question how things make sense with him. And like there's some parts where like he is used as just we need a character to be here and it doesn't matter who it is, so it's going to be Brant. And I don't think that that worked super well in the couple of places that they did it. Um, but I will say though, his animations are really satisfying. Like his combat style is really good. He is definitely a character that like feels good to play as. He's got a and he's got like enough fallback patterns if things aren't going perfectly that like you can easily get going again if something goes wrong. And his animations are silly and they feel kind of weird, but they also feel fitting for a character like him. So kind of a bit of both. So overall, I would say I consider him pretty good. I might put him kind of. Maybe I'll put him right above Phoebe because I think I have similar concerns regarding him as I do for Phoebe. So I think that is a logical kind of place to sit on that front. Where like there's some elements of his writing that I don't really like, but our next character that we're going to be discussing is Cantarella. I am going to do my break early because Cantarella it breaks in about 4 minutes, and I have a fair bit to say about Cantarella, and I want to rest my voice for a minute before I do so. So we're going to take our break early. I don't want to interrupt my discussion of Cantarella, so we'll pop break on now, and I will be back in a few.
The tides have
I am
whispered
muted.
of your
Cantarella, Cantarella, Cantarella. What to say about Cantarella? Yeah, I must have double unmuted. Um, this is probably the character I have the most like conflicting opinions on. Because like when I look at her outfit, like if you look at her from this angle, she has one of the best like profiles, like the long pretty hair, the multicolored back dress, the umbrella's really cute. Like so like visually so far, like there's a lot to like. But like this is the character that I was mentioning earlier when I said I would comment when it got into that 5%. Cantarella has the worst boob physics I have seen in a game in years, maybe decades. It is so obnoxious, just like that is not how boobs work. I'm not going to go into a deep, lecture about boobs because, like, I don't. I don't think there's any purpose in that, but like that is not how boobs work, guys. This is just no. It's not even like sexy. This isn't how boobs work. Because like, there are times when games use boob physics to try and appear like sensual or something like that, and it's like, fine, you're trying to titillate with tits. I get it. I don't necessarily like it, but I get it. This isn't that. This just looks weird. Distracting, unnatural, like uncanny valley boobs. This right here, this is the uncanny valley. Okay? This is the uncanny valley that we're talking about. Sorry. Um, and like the weird like maid outfit for her when she's supposed to be like the head of a of her family and like the ruler of her people kind of thing. She's not the ruler of Renacida, but she is like the head of her family. She's supposed to be like a noble woman. She's supposed to be, you know, I get that like part of her character is wielding sexuality as a weapon, but like this is not how you wield sexuality as a weapon. This is how you get people looking at you like, what? Yeah, like there's just and like this like looks very childlike, which for a character with such a mature look in general, having like the childlike bonnet at the top is just so weird. I can't. I don't know what they were thinking. This is just such a bad example of like a of like the type of thing that they were clearly going for here. Um, and like as you can see from like her idol animations, she also has a bit of that weird over sexualization that Camellia had. Um, but not in a way that, it, as I said, there's really weird. It's just really really strange. I don't know how else to put it. She just looks really really unnatural and strange, and not in a good way. Um, Now, what I will say though is her combat animations are actually really good, and her playstyle is really fun. She has like really exaggerated animations. Actually, I have her, but I don't have her slotted into any teams, I don't think. Sure. So like she has like the jellyfish look, and like she has like these like really exaggerated animations.
Come on out, little critter. Hey?
I don't have her burst up, so I can't show that, but like her animations are really good. Her combat style is really good. She flows really well. She doesn't really fit into much in the way of teams. Like she really only has two teams, so she's not very versatile. So you don't get to use her much. But like that's not part of this tier list really. But like her combat animations good. And the thing that I will say that I appreciate the most about her is actually her writing. I'm not going to say she's like the best written character in the game or anything, because that would be a dramatic exaggeration. Just one sec, guys. She is far from the best written character in the game, but they did. So when you first get into her story, it really feels like they're setting her up to betray you. And they subverted expectations in a really clever way that I really appreciated, because like it would have been so easy to just turn her into that patch's big bad and have her be the bad guy, and that's that. And like, it would have been fine. Like, it would have been, exactly what's expected. It would have been not great, but like, that's what's expected. It's what you're. But they did something really surprising with the story, and I have to really, really respect them for being willing to do that, what they did with her story, because it really changed her character in a big way. Um, like, I was really, like, I'd already pulled her by that point. So I was worried that this character I'd pulled, like, I pulled her because she kind of goes well with Jinsey, and I really needed some characters to fit with Jinsey, since the only other character that really fits with Jinsey is like attached at the hip to Carlotta. So I pulled her for that. Um, but I was worried that like they were gonna turn this character that I'd already pulled into like just this dumb nonsense bad guy who was, weirdly sexualized. And but they actually made her, like, her writing was really good. And I'm very impressed with what they did with her story and how they managed to sort of subvert expectations. But as we said, like, the design part of her, like the visual design between like the weird bonnet and the boob physics is so over it's so overwhelming and obviously bad that it distracts from everything else. It's like that big of a problem for me. And I think for that reason I have to put her fairly low. I think because of how good her story was and how much fun she is to use, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and put her at bottom of B. But like, Kuro, please. If anyone at Kuro happens to stumble upon this tier list down the line on YouTube or in my VODs or anything, I know it's not going to happen, but if it does, if there's anyone here who has the ability to send a snippet to Kuro, send this. Stop with the really bad boob physics. You don't need to over exaggerate the boobs and just never make another character whose chest area looks like Cantarella. That's not a good look. It doesn't work. Just never, please. Okay. Next character. Man, the number of people I know who simped so hard over this character. Zani is probably, other than maybe Carlotta, Zani is probably the most popular character in Renacida. I think it would be a tough split between Carlotta and Zani, depending on what type of design you like better. Like,
Anything I can help you with?
but Zani's design is fantastic. Maybe the best ass in the game. But like the like business aesthetic is on point for her, and like the way that her burst kind of shifts her into like the taking things seriously mode, where like her clothes change slightly, I think is fantastic. Um, or her liberation, sorry, liberation. Wait, her alt switches her status like that is really cool, and I think like the way she's written as being like no nonsense is quite good. I think her accent is a little not great. Not bad, but not great. She's definitely not uh what was her name? I can't even remember her name. Luma? No, that's a different game. Lumi. Lumi. She's definitely not Lumi bad, but her accent is not great.
Anything I can help you with?
Um, but like she's got that like perfect fit business look down, and I really like the way that she's got kind of the demonic aspects to her. I'm curious if they will ever kind of explain that, because she's the only character with them, but like I doubt they will. But I think it would be cool if there was a race of people like this somewhere. Her combat animations are solid. I think her writing was decent. I I think there was some incongruity with how she was handled, similar to some of the other characters. Like there's some bits where like the expectation that was set up for her at the start doesn't play out super well in some of the later stories, and it doesn't come across as just being a character with more depth than you might have originally expected. It comes across as being like this is a totally different character. So like that's one thing I will say about Zani, but overall I think Zani is one of the characters who they definitely deserve credit for how they inserted into the game. Um I think she's an A. I think she might be at the bottom of A for me. But I definitely think she deserves a lot of credit. Um Chia Kona.
The divinity may foresee the future of the world, but I doubt they can predict which song people will play tomorrow.
Maybe I'm alone on this
The
one,
divinity may foresee the
but
future of the
I
world,
like
but I doubt they can
Chiacona
predict
a
which song
lot.
people will play tomorrow.
I think her design is really pretty, like the greens and blues. And I think her story also was really good, where she's like there's a very down to earth element to her story. Like it's not as much a story. She less fits into like the whole saving the world or discovering the mysteries of the world storyline. She just has a very personal storyline, and I thought it was a nice touch for a character like her. And I love her like animations and how her performance changes the music temporarily, and the fact that un she shamelessly plays into her archetype as the musician without any remorse or any like there's no attempt to try and make her more than that. She's a musician, she performs, her acts all feel like just dance moves. Everything about her kit kind of sells that fantasy. And I like that cuz it really makes it feel like not every character needs to be the the fighter type, which is something they have had a little bit of a problem with. Like every character kind of feels a bit, not every character, but a lot of the characters have a bit of they all feel like they kind of fall into a bit of a soldier class or at least a fighting class. And I think it's nice to have like the bard sitting around. She's also very pretty, and I love the elfin look to her. Um, I feel like her headpiece, her like antlers are just a headpiece, not actual antlers. Um, but they didn't really explain it. But like, yeah, I really like Chiacona. She is definitely. I I honestly think I'm talking myself into putting her near the bottom of S because I just really like her a lot. Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna put her at the bottom of S for now. The more I use her, the more I like her, and the more I think about why I like her, the more I realize that like I don't have a lot of complaints. My ice cream's melting as we speak. But that gives me a milkshake instead, so I'm okay with it. Next, we are on to Cardathea.
The power to split and merge matter.
So, I think her outfit is a little bit too sexualized. She is not nearly on the category of like Camellia for me, where like her animations are super sexualized too. But she kind of falls into the same category as like Cantarella, although not nearly as bad, where like the outfit they gave her feels like it's missing a few pieces of fabric. And also similar to some of the other characters, it feels like it's too small for her, but also too big for her at the same time. And it's not my favorite part of her. But I love the colors on her. I love her hair. I like the like triple braid down the back of her hair. I think is gorgeous. I think the kind of crown of thorns is really pretty. As I said, like the blue color and like the details on her are really pretty. I love the anklet down here that mirrors her crown of thorns. I think the overall aesthetic is cool. Um, excuse me. And I really like the like vines up the middle, the like that go up the middle of her shirt here. I just wish that the vines went over like more fabric so that she didn't have this boob window in the middle. But and I kind of wish that her shorts, skirt, dress, whatever it is, went down a little further. Like I don't need to be seeing her ass if I tilt the camera down a little bit. Not that I mind seeing a pretty girl's ass, but like I don't need to for this case. Um so like I think that the only problem I have with her design is that she is a little bit over sexualized. But I don't think it's so bad that I have to like hold it too far against her. Exactly, as my darling wife is saying, there's a reason why Carlotta
I alone will
is
decide whether
way
to
more
show.
way sexier than like half the characters on this roster. She is showing skin in some places, but like she's pretty well covered up in a lot of places, and that does a lot of good for her look. You don't need to be even Zani as well, like
Anything I can help you with?
fully covered up. Definitely sexy. Well, mostly fully covered up. Her shirt is clearly straining against the buttons, but let's ignore that for now. But yeah,
The
I think
power to
Cardathea
split and
needed
merge matter.
a little bit more clothing, but overall, like the theme of what's there is really good. So like I can't hold it too far against her. And also, I think her story has probably been some of my favorite writing in Wuthering Waves. And her animations are another one of those cases where like the characters' animations are right up in my top handful of characters for animations. Just absolutely incredible animations. They're almost so but they're almost so big that they feel over dramatic in some ways. Do I have her kit up or am I usually do have her kit up, but maybe not. I do. Yeah. So like
You won't escape. Be gone, wicked souls.
and then
Oceans, bow before me.
Exonerate.
people have tested and found that her spell travels like 4,000 in-game units. I think the test that I saw was from someone used her alt, I think it was here, pointing in this direction, and the effect of it was like visible here. So like this is like the entire starting game zone. So like this is massive distance. Her alt goes forever when you use it, but I can't use it because I'm not in combat, so I can't build up the stack for it. But like if I just cast R, I just switch forms. Oh, while I'm at it. And then
Let the show begin.
Chiakona performs a serenade for us with her clones for her alt for a while. Okay, back to the characters. But yeah, Cardithia's animations are an example of almost too over the top, which is why I don't like her animations more than like some of the other characters like Carlotta, because like they're so bombastic that they almost feel too much. But she's still one of my top animations. Like she's still fantastic in terms of her overall kit animations, and she's so fun to use. But like, yeah, for me, I'm gonna put her kind of tail end of S because I do like her a lot. But there is that little bit of like the sexualization is nowhere near the same degree as like Camellia or Cantarella, so I'm not gonna hold it too far against. But like she needs more clothing. That's the one thing I would say. Like everything else about her, I love. I love her writing. I love her design. I love her gameplay style. I love her overall look. She just needs a little more clothing. That's it. Just give her a little bit more clothing, and she'll be borderline perfect. Onward to Lupa, a character I can't show off fully, but
I shall have no one tarnishing victory's honor.
so visually speaking,
I shall have no one tarnishing victory's honor.
I like her design a fair bit. I think the kind of wolf aesthetic works really well for her. Um, I think her outfit needs something to. It's too plain. I think is my thing for with her outfit. Like I don't think the silver on the front does what they're hoping it will, and I don't think the red sash does it either. And I think she just looks kind of a little bit too plain. But like she's quite pretty, and I like her design a fair bit. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like it doesn't make her look like a soldier or like a mercenary. It makes her look like a bad cosplayer. Um, and like that it just doesn't really work that well for that. But like what's there is good. I just wish she had some sort of a detail to her. Actually, I think what she needs is something to tie the bright, ostentatious pink of her hair, like this gorgeous bright pink color, into her outfit. She needs something down here that's pink. Something from here down that's not dark red but pink. I think that's what's missing for me is something to make like her here up and here down look like two different characters. Her voice is not bad. It's not my favorite, but it's not like we'll get to Augusta in a bit, but it's not like Augusta bad or like Lumi bad or like even like um even like Zani's accent is like she's even got a better like her accent is even less awkward sounding than Zani's, so like it works pretty well. But yeah, so that visually speaking, she'd probably be like a B, maybe an A minus, like low A. The one thing what I will say though for her is she has one of the most fun kits to use in the game. Like her animations are so fluid and so continuous. Like she's very similar to Carlotta in that vibe, where like the animations just flow really well and feel good to use. And they have satisfying animations, but they don't feel like so over the top. She's like just really agile and moving a lot, and like the her kit is fun, and that is a big important factor to these types of things. So like I'm gonna give her credit for that. I think for me, Lupa goes kind of middle of A because of that. She is fun and she has a decent visual appearance, but not she's not like stellar. She doesn't belong like in the same upper echelons as like Giacona or Shorekeeper or Carlotta or even like Jianshin or Chongli. She's definitely on a lower echelon than that, but she's quite good. Next, we have Frolova. Frolova, what to say about Frolova? Does she not say anything? No, she doesn't. So, visually speaking, I think Frolova has a good amount of detail to her. She's not overly sexualized. She's got a lot of like color and vibrancy in her look. I think she kind of I often get her and Camellia mixed up, or did before they came, like in the early days, because like I feel like this is the type of visual appearance that would actually suit Camellia a lot. Like if you took like chest down and like transplanted like 75% of what this is onto Camellia, I feel like this would kind of like this is kind of what I think would be this is a good example of a character who's like very pretty, looks very, appealing, but isn't just wearing no clothes. Kind of like Zani, kind of like Carlotta, etc. So I think like her appearance gets pretty high marks. I don't know quite how I feel about her hair. Like I like the color of it and I think it fits her, but I think it's a little bit dull and I think it just kind of looks limp and lifeless. Like there's something about her hair that is just kind of I don't know. Like I normally like these type of double pigtail, these like split pigtail looks, but her version of it just looks like the hair is not well taken care of and it looks kind of limp and lifeless. Which I guess maybe is intentional, maybe because of her story. That's what they wanted to go for her hair, but like it doesn't look great. Um, Also, her accent is one of the worst in the game. Like, she is down there with Augusta in terms of characters I do not want to listen to talk. I also am not sure how I feel about her gameplay animations. Like, they're elaborate, but I don't know that elaborate is enough. I don't know that I like how they look, and I don't know that I like the way they play. Whoops. So I think I'm like most of the points come from like her shoulders down look, whereas everything else kind of takes away points. Like her shoulders down look would probably be like low S for me, but the rest of her as a whole is definitely not living up to that same uh, classification. So I think, and I think the rest of her is. I also think that her story wasn't terribly good either. I think low B, because like there's enough like basically everything about her I don't like except her clothes. And I can't give a character an S just because they're wearing a pretty dress, or an A because they're wearing a pretty dress. I'm debating between like bottom of B or top of C. Actually, I think I'm going to put top of C because I just really do not like most of her. I just like the dress. I just really like her dress. That everything else I don't like, but I really like her dress. Now on to Augusta.
Triumph follows. Where my blade leads, triumph follows.
Yeah, that voice. That voice. That voice. I don't know what they were going for. I don't know what they were going for. Like, I think I know what they wanted her to sound like. I think they wanted her to sound Scottish. But that is not what she sounds. She sounds like somebody doing a bad impression of someone doing a bad Scottish accent. Yeah. Yeah, that's what she sounds like. She sounds like if somebody was doing a bad impression of somebody else who was trying to do a Scottish accent and failing. So, like, she's not just trying to do the Scottish accent and failing. No, she's trying to do an impression of someone who's doing that and doing not a good job of it. But aside from the voice, like, she's got a coherent look going to her. She's like uh the warrior like the warrior queen kind of look where like she's not like trying to be sexy, but she knows she's fit and she doesn't care if people see parts of her body because, you know, if that distracts them, then that's more to her benefit. And she's not like trying to look good, she just happens to look good. Even her hair is kind of a little bit unruly curl. And like that's a coherent look and it works. I don't like the look of her sword. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. Like this giant brick sword is kind of awkward looking. Even though I know what it's supposed to represent, I still don't like it. I'm not sure why she has a short sword when she has a giant sword, but sure, if that makes her happy, not going to complain about that. Um, I'm not as big of a fan of her combat animations as I think some are. I think her combat style is fairly awkward, and I'm not the world's biggest fan of it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Um, she actually has some of the better boob physics in the game, so like props to that. They're not like great. They're still Wuthering Waves boob physics, but like her boobs actually look like boobs rather than pillows someone stuck with tape to her chest. So, props, I guess. Um, but yeah, Augusta's not a character I'm super high on. I don't think she's like in my bad books, aside from the accent, which is terrible. I think the accent and the fact that I don't like her combat animations is going to put her kind of in the lower ends of B. Maybe I'll put her right next to Cantarella, where like kind of similarly, like there's parts of her I really like, but there's a couple of things that are just awful that hold everything else back. We have reached the end. There is one more character to talk about.
While the moon cycles, I remain the anchor.
And
While the
I'm
moon
going to be
cycles,
honest,
I remain the anchor.
she has probably my second favorite, maybe third favorite character appearance in the game. Like, overall, I love her design. Like, I think similar to some of the other characters, she is showing too much skin, but like, I think it's done in a way that feels more intentional and less like, more intentional on the character's behalf and less like the people designing her wanted her to be wearing a certain type of outfit but had a quota for how much skin they had to show. Like Cardathea kind of feels that way, where like they wanted her to have a specific look, but somebody came in and was like, no, 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 we need to get rid of some of this because we need to show more skin. Whereas Yuno feels more like a character that was designed to just not wear a lot of clothes. Like she just is that is just the, that is just the design, and the design works for her, I think. I wish I could get a vision of her just standing up rather than the her curling up over this, because anytime I try and look at anything other than a complete side profile, we're upskirting her, and I'm not a huge fan of that.
While the moon cycles, I remain the anchor.
But like, she is gorgeous, and I love her design, and I love the visual. Like, I love a lot of the colors in it. Like her hair, the blue with like the stars in it fading to here makes really does like look like the night sky almost. Like, and like her headdress is really pretty, and like the gold elements in her hair tie well into the gold on her outfit, and like the dangling kind of tassels and cloth are really pretty. Like her skirt is cute. I still, similar to a lot of other characters, I think her skirt could use being a couple inches longer, but whatever. I get that they're really like Wuthering Waves tries desperately to sell on sex, so fine. But like overall, I really like that, and like she's not out yet, so we only have footage of her combat animations. But like her combat animations are super cool. There is one thing that I have that's a big criticism for her, and that is she was very clearly designed to appeal to foot fetishists. So much of her like her idle animations, even as you can see here, like she's holding her foot out to be admired, very, very, very intentionally putting her foot towards the audience. Her liberation animation has like her kicking her foot through very dramatically through like a circle of energy. And like it's a little much, not to kink shame. I don't have anything against foot fetishists, but like to have this character who I love the animation, who I love so much of the design of, have so strong of a fetishist design to certain aspects of her in a fetish that I'm not interested in. Not my favorite thing. Um, we haven't seen a ton of her because we're still a little bit behind on the story, but like I've liked what I've seen of her personality so far. I think it's kind of silly and playful in a way that I enjoy. She's got a little bit of arrogance to her, but like given her role and stuff, there's an element of that that makes some sense, and a lot of the characters in this game are arrogant. So like I don't have anything against her personality so far, but I can't judge too much because we still have like half the story left, and that's like half of the story that involves her left. So like there's still a lot more to learn. But like I've liked the little bit of kind of silliness to her. Um, but like yeah, overall she is definitely another top tier character for me. I don't think I have a ton to say negative about her aside from like the foot stuff. Um, maybe I'll put her at top of A because like the characters in the S tier mostly I have no criticisms about or very very minor ones, whereas the characters in A tier I occasionally are like really good, but I have more criticisms, but they're still not huge. And then in B tier you start to get to the characters who have major problems. And then in C, it's more problem than good, and in D, there is nothing good. I'm going to adopt my wife's for this. These are the characters with like almost no notes.